So my love for the GTO started back when I was a teenager, and a friend of mine across the street had a 69 that he had modified and made just super fast and super scary for a teenage kid. And he used to take me out in it and just, I think, try to get me to wet my pants. But after that, I had my first Pontiac in 1981, and I saw Le Mans going down the road with a for sale sign in it. It was a 72. I didn't know much about it at the time, but I chased the lady down and found her in a mall parking lot. And next thing you know, I've got the car. It was only like $1,500 or so. It was a really good deal and low mile, and I drove that car for a long time. And I redid it and rebuilt the motor and did a bore 30 over and put a posi tranny in it, or a posi rear end in it, and just loved that car. Drove it till it was pretty much dead. Repainted it. It was forest green metallic, beautiful car, and did all the work myself as much as I could. And then had to sell it, and I thought to myself, well, I'll get another GTO or a GTO someday to replace it. And I want it to be a 1970, and I want it to be a convertible. And I didn't have much else beyond that I was looking for in a GTO. But years went by, and my grandmother died, and she said that I could do what I wanted with a little bit of inheritance that she left me, and I wanted to buy that GTO. So I got online. This was back, the internet was really not up and running a whole lot, but there were quite a few sites out there at the time, and I found a driver in good condition, fairly decent, for $14,000. And I said to my wife, I said, hey, it's in Wisconsin, we live in Michigan, I can run over there, grab it, drive it home, we'll have a 70 GTO convertible, all told blue. It was a nice car, white top. And she's like, oh, that's too much money, you can't spend that kind of money on a car that's that old. And I said, all right, I'll keep looking. And so eventually I found a car in Boston, Massachusetts. And again, we live in Michigan. And it was a pretty decent deal because the people that had started working on it were doing a frame-off restoration. And they had gathered up all the brand new parts for the car, had got it off the frame. I had new fenders, I had an extra deck lid, I had an extra hood. They had bought new valance, stainless steel gas lines, composite bushings for the body, and it's like, all right, all I got to do is put it back together. Well, things went really well until I got it home. And I went, well, I really don't have any place to work on it. I took it over to my mother's house. I'm 30-something, early 30s, I guess, married, baby on the way, and stored the car in my mother's garage, thinking I'd go over there and work on it. Well, that never happened, and I went over there a couple of times and didn't really get anywhere, and said, well, we got to have someplace here at home to keep this car. And so she's like, my wife, it's like, okay, well, let's start looking at pole barns then. We have enough property, we can put a pole barn up. And I started looking at a barn, and it was, a car and a half. She's like, no, bigger, and we got a little bit bigger than that. She says, no, we got to have room to open the pop-up camper up inside of there, so that meant 10-foot ceilings, and, well, I want to have a patio outside where we can sit and have a little fire pit maybe, and barbecue grill. And I'm like, all right. So we ended up with a 40 by 40 pole barn that set us back over $20,000. So my $14,000 driver had turned into a $6,000 car in parts, literally, and a $20,000 pole barn. So I don't know, we use the pole barn for everything. As you can see, it's pretty full out here, and there isn't a lot going on with the GTO, though, I'm afraid. So I got it all back on the frame and got all the lines run and the brakes on and wheels done and tranny redone, rear diff redone. Everything looks great. Motor was already done when I bought it. I've had the car over 20 years, and I've never heard it run. Never driven it, never turned the motor over. I used to sit in it when I first got it, but then I gutted the interior, and now I can't even sit in it. So it sits here. It's a 1970. It's coming up on its 50th birthday, and I'd really like to have it on the road. by the time it turns 50. It's a beautiful car. It's got a long legacy as muscle cars go in America, and it deserves to have better treatment than what I've given it here. I went back to college, became a teacher, started college at 38 years old, took my first college class, and as soon as I started taking classes, the GTO just went to the back burner. We didn't have any money, I didn't have any time, I was a full-time student, working odd jobs when I could get them, and then I got a job teaching, and I put all of my effort into my career and into my new family. I had a young daughter who I started coaching her soccer team, and it just went from there, and the GTO sat out here ever since. My daughter's 25 years old now and lives in California, and our vacations now are spent traveling out to see her, not really working on a GTO. And then when I do have time at home, it's doing the home repairs, cleaning gutters, painting walls, redoing kitchens. I don't have the time for the GTO. It's kind of sad, and now we're looking at retirement. I'm 57 years old. My wife's a couple years older than I am, and then retirement's in our future. And I'm afraid the GTO is never going to get done if I don't get some help on it. So I'm hoping Garage Squad can help me out and choose my car as its next episode. Beautiful car. It's almost all done. I'm down to the body work and trying to get the door panels put back on, which I found is really frustrating. Getting all the body panels to line up, and I've got one side done, but I haven't even had any luck at all getting the passenger side door and fender back on and aligned. Not to mention the Enduro nose and the hood and all that. So I'm not shy of getting dirty and doing some work. I've done a lot on this car already, but the bodywork is really frustrating and making me not want to come out here even when I do have the time to do it. So I've got all the parts necessary to put it back together. The interior is in really good shape. I think I'd just keep the original interior and not do anything with it. I need to get the body put back together. I need a new convertible top on it, and I just need to get the bodywork done and get it painted and get it looking like a presentable car. I think it's going to be pretty close to show quality when I'm done with it. Even if I had to do it myself, we were on the right track, and I was doing everything right and keeping it all original. I didn't go crazy with anything. A couple of improvements in the brakes and the body bushings and things like that that'll make it a better car to drive than it was originally, but I just need to get it done.